But hell, who knows? Stranger things have happened. I don't know. My parents were a little bummed this morning, but they're not bad. They're dealing.
Yeah. No, I purposely have not called my father.
Why? He's a big.
My father is a huge. Like, I'm gonna let him cool off for a few days before I give him a call. But yeah, my father is a huge McCain supporter and always has been. Yeah, well, my dad like donated a bunch of money to him, and he donated a ton of money to him in 2000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was like a supporter back in 2000.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, he was like really pissed off that John McCain didn't get the primaries back in 2000. So yeah, my dad's always been like a gigantic John McCain supporter.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk about this on the air. I have I've been meeting, meeting new friends, getting buddies at my job, and
For those buddies.
we were talking on our way to Rochester the other day for training about politics and stuff. And one of them, if he's talking, I'm not bashing him or anything. He's a 9/11 conspiratist. Like, he believes that it was an inside job. And I just ripped him. I ripped into him. It was cool because we had a pretty cordial conversation about it. And I'm like, well, then tell her what happened. He went in, about how it's all Bush and those guys. It was an inside job, that kind of deal. And I was cool with it, and we had a good conversation. But he mentioned that the one thing that just it got to my nerve was he thought that if Bush didn't get elected, 9/11 would never have happened. And I
don't think so.
Out. I felt I apologized after, not like I wasn't calling him names, but I'm like, what? Are you kidding? I'm like, well, what about this attack? What about that attack? I went on and on. Yeah. And then it got kind of silent in the car. I'm like, oh man, it's pretty awkward. So
I mean, I love I think my favorite response to that whole thing was the one Bill Maher gave, because he had a bunch of 9/11 conspiracy, I guess he had been having a bunch of 9/11 conspiracy theorists showing up to a show and yelling, while he was trying to do or while they're trying to do real time, and he said he finally did one of those his real time segments or real talk or whatever it's called he does, and he said 9/11 conspiracy theorists have to stop pretending like I'm the crazy one. He's like, you want to know how I know that Bush didn't plan out the entire and pull off the entire 9/11 World Trade Center? Because it actually worked.
Yeah, because if it was an inside job, the government would be able to do it.
Yeah. How I know it was an inside job? Because it actually worked. Yeah. So, yeah, I always thought that was a good response. Yeah. No, when I was in school, I went to school in England, and there was a Portuguese guy came up to me once, and he's like, "Hey, are you American?" This was right after that Loose Change came out. I still haven't seen that, or I'd never heard of it at that point. I'd seen bits and pieces of it, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But excuse me, burping. And I said, he came up to me and he said, "Are you American?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What do you think about 9/11?" I'd never even heard of this loose change thing, and I was like, my response was, I thought it was bad. He was like, "No, not about that. What do you mean about the whole conspiracy thing?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he had to explain to me about this movie Loose Change, how it proved, the entire thing was doctored by the American whatever. Yeah. And then I watched it and was thoroughly unimpressed. It's just a bunch of random facts, but he didn't he kept saying he had all these sources, but he never listed what the sources were. He'd have one source, or be able to list one document and say this all. And then I thought one guy, there was this one blogger, and forgive me, I can't remember his name. It's the guy who has the Che Guevara with the eye patch.
Talking about Maddox?
Yeah. What's his name? Yeah, he had a really great blog post about him. He's saying the one thing that proves that this isn't true is that the guy who made Loose Change is still alive. And he said if the Bush administration was willing to ruthlessly murder in 9/11 3,000 or whatever the hell it was Americans, why are you still alive having found out all this horrible secret data? Why wouldn't they just kill you? The fact that you're still alive completely disproves your
actually,
point.
I'm on it right now. It goes, let me just read this real quick. Unlike others who debunk 9/11 conspiracy theories, or cons for short, I'm not going to bother with going through intricate point-by-point rebuttals or pointing out the hundreds of factual inaccuracies and outright lies in this documentary because I don't need to. In fact, I can debunk the entire story with one simple observation. The fact that this man is alive is proof that loose change is bullshit. So, then he goes on.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was a poignant observation.
Yeah. And the fact that they were able to keep it hush-hush.
Yeah.
The government, yeah, right. The government can't do all that. In fact, I did an entire episode of the Naked Issues. Kyle and I did, debunking those theories and stuff like that. That was one of my favorite shows. I love doing that.
Rosie O'Donnell believes it apparently.
Oh yeah, well she's a far left loon. It's I mean a lot of Charlie Sheen.
She's a pinhead.
As Bill O'Reilly would put it, she's a pinhead.
You know what? I'm sick and tired of celebrities making outlandish statements and then being called bullshit on it and then being like, "Why are you guys reacting so badly? I just asked a question. That's all I'm doing is asking questions." I hate that freaking excuse. I'm just asking questions. I'm not implying anything. Because whenever I hear anybody defend themselves just by being like, "Well, I'm just asking questions. You can't be mad at me." That pisses
the
me
one
off.
thing that always pissed me off in college, and I do this sometimes. When someone when I disagree with someone, they go, "Well, it's just my opinion about the matter," and because apparently opinion and stupidity are kind of the same thing.
Yeah, opinion is being wrong.
Yeah, I'm like, well, no, it's not that way. Well, it's just my opinion. I'm like, wait, what? You can't write that on a test. You know what I mean?
Sick of people's opinions, and I'm sick of people just asking questions and oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking a question. It's your fault for reacting so badly because I'm just asking a question. Yeah. I just hate that. I don't know. It just drives me nuts.
Gotcha.
It's because you're not heavily implying something with that question.
Yeah. No, I love that though. It's funny because because me and that guy are we're buddies now, but it's funny when we talk about politics because we'll be talking and we were saying how bad the economy was, and I'm like, yeah, Bush should really just jump in some more planes and fly them into buildings. Maybe that would help out. So we busted his balls pretty bad.
Yeah, seriously.
But other than that, I love that shit. I love conspiracies. I love listening to them.
Yeah, conspiracy theorists. They are kind of fun.
I'm not a conspiracist. I think we did land on the moon. I think the Holocaust happened. But I just think they're fun to listen.
Well, all in fairness, I don't know, to me, denial of the moon landing isn't nearly as bad as Holocaust denial.
Yeah. But they're
I take a moon lander denier any day over a Holocaust denier.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. I realize.
Oh no! I'm just adding to the conversation. I'm not saying you're doing anything like that.
But yeah, like the moon landing's also one of my favorite conspiracies.
Yeah. My sister doesn't really believe in it. Well, she believes we've been there. She doesn't believe we went when we said.
Don't you think there have been Russian spies over here since it was at the height of the Cold War? We were both, on our way to the moon. It was whoever got there first wins. Don't you think the Russians would have, found out the plan and kind of spoiled it for everyone?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. To be honest with you, I don't know enough about the moon landing really to. I haven't really researched this deeply, the moon landing conspiracy and why people.
There's a bunch of different stuff. I think the hardest argument they have is something that has to do with radiation, space radiation. And we couldn't make it out there. I mean, I don't know the science behind that. I know there's been rebuttals to that. It's the only thing that I can guarantee. I can just tell you. I wouldn't know what to say if someone brought that up, other than I don't know, go read a book, but there's some fun ones like, well, look at the pictures of the